If someone was to ask you what the effects of COVID-19 are, you'd probably be able to answer by now. You've heard about the symptoms. We've seen how the virus can cause brain fog, hair loss, loss of smell or sense of taste. But what about the unseen effects of COVID that can last even longer? Gina joins us now with a very important topic. Good morning.
And good morning to you, especially those unseen effects on our teenagers. So COVID has impacted all of us in very different ways, but it is especially tough on our teens. Their lives have literally been thrown upside down with school closures, social distancing, canceled activities and events. So this weekend, life coach TRACEY Martin is shedding some light on what she calls the unseen effects of COVID. She is joining us this morning for a very important conversation about our teenagers, and she's also joined by Joseph Stallone, a teen ambassador, what better expert to talk about teenagers than teenagers themselves. So good morning to both of you. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Good morning. How are you?
Really good. You know what, Joseph, I'm going to get to you in just a second. TRACEY, this is such an important conversation. I will tell you that I happen to be the mother of two teenagers, and so I want to dive right in with a heavy question right away. So our teenagers, last year, our seniors missed out on prom and graduation. This school year, maybe it's a canceled sports season or didn't get to try out for the school play. There are so many things they've missed out on. So help us discern, how do we tell the difference between our teens being a little sad about missing out versus moving into the realm of depression, and how do we help them work through that?
I think the first thing that we have to focus on is having really honest and open, very transparent communication. So many times we say, oh, it's okay, just get over it. You know, I mean, everybody deals with adversity, just get over it. But the real big thing is that we really have to understand that we have to have these conversations. And I think families really need to have markers in place. You know, we celebrate birthdays and, you know, with or without the coronavirus, but it came to high school and there was nothing. These markers, these really poignant moments were just kind of wiped off the face of the earth. And as families, I encourage them to have markers in place, do something for your own, you know, for your own teen or your community or their friend group. And so much of it comes down to being open and honest in your home and really getting to know your teen, you know, really understanding what they're dealing with, because so many times we don't know and we only know what they're telling us. And so that's kind of why I get to do that. I get to bridge that gap, you know, being able to open up that communication and letting them feel those emotions without feeling bad about them, but then also trying to find the root and not just talking about the symptoms.
You know, TRACEY, that's great stuff. I imagine, too, as far as the conversation is concerned, there's got to be, from a parent standpoint, a validation, a certain non-judgmental forum where they can speak freely.
You have to. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we struggle with today. Just as far as, you know, anything in our world right now is it's interesting to see it right now, because these kids have never dealt with anything like this before. This has been their first crisis. It's been a crisis for all of us in a very short time that we've had to deal with this very quickly. And so when you have a non-judgmental space, they actually open up, and there's really important, powerful questions that you can ask your teen, you know, to find out exactly what's happening and not judge them in the space, because nobody's been here before, right? And so we have to understand that, you know, we don't understand what we don't know until we're told differently. And if we can keep the open communication, we can really get to a point of understanding that maybe they could share something with them from a very vulnerable place of what they're dealing with missing their friends, social distancing. Families are handling it differently, and we can't judge one another how we decide to do this. You know, some people, you know, choose to isolate, some people don't. Some people are continuing their life, and that should be allowed. Some people are not, and then we tend to judge each other from that standpoint. And that's really how we're getting into this division that we have to deal with right now.
Well, Joseph, let's bring you into this conversation. First of all, I'm curious, how old are you and what year are you in high school?
I'm 19. I'm actually a freshman in college.
You are? Okay, well, congratulations. Yeah. So last year you did miss out on your prom likely and your graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you know, communication amongst your peers. How difficult has it been with the lack of connectivity, and how have you managed to make connections in this socially distanced new world?
You know, it's been crazy since senior year of high school. You know, we started off the year great. It was all in person. We heard about the COVID-19 and stuff like that, and it wasn't that big of a deal. And then around March time, that's when it really hit, when we left spring break. And, you know, we all went to spring break having a fun time. And, you know, our school was like, oh, another 2 weeks off. And we're like, oh my God, so fun. And then 2 weeks became almost like 6, 7 months to where, we no more football games, no more like sport events or anything like that.
Prom,
I missed my
graduation.
prom, graduation.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because, those were the things that I was looking forward to in my
course.
senior year of graduating. And I couldn't look forward to that. And everyone was so kept away, and it brought a lot of anxiety to a lot of kids because they couldn't see their friends. They couldn't see this. They were afraid to meet people because they didn't know if they're going to transfer COVID-19. And it's just been a really, really rough year. And I feel like everyone took a big impact from it.
TRACEY, we are just about out of time, but I've got to ask you about online learning because so many parents are struggling to keep their kids engaged. How do we convince them of the importance of staying engaged? How do we give them ownership and explain to them how important it is? After all, these grades are going to end up on their college transcripts.
Well, that's an interesting thing, honestly, is because their grades are really being affected. And that's something that we need to talk about because being online is difficult. First of all, you can't just roll over and start school. You still have to remain very scheduled. Parents have to understand that you are a parent. You're not a teacher. You're merely facilitating the work that was given to you.
Yes.
You have to be very structured with your schedule, still get up in the
Routine.
morning. Exactly. I always tell my clients, get up in the morning a little bit earlier, set yourself up in a table or somewhere, get out of bed. But so often the teens, my daughter included, is rolling over doing school and it's affecting their grades. And so we tend to try to, we try to ward that off with a schedule. But again, it comes down to self-discipline and, your why of getting through this.
TRACEY, we could talk to you for hours. An important conversation. We've got a really great event this weekend for teens. We'll put all the information on our website. TRACEY Martin, Joseph, thank you so much to both of you for spending some time with us here on Good Morning Arizona.
Thank you so much. And you guys can go to officiallytraceymartin.com and really get some more information. And we just want to be in service to the community to get them through this.